What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of an AFL Madden 17 podcast. And tonight we have a little bit of a different show for you as our guy Stokes has made some Super Bowl odds for Season 1. So we are here to break those down for you, talk about some of the best bets we see on the board. And we also have Stokes here, and he's going to explain it to us where his mind was when he gave some of these odds. So, Stokes, how's it going?
Sure, going well. Going very well.
And since this seems like the kind of show where we might want to give Stokes a little bit of shit, the best guy to bring on for that is Magic. What's up, Magic?
I'm not over this ice cream thing.
Magic is upset that he didn't get ice cream over the weekend. Apparently, he didn't realize that he is an adult and he can go get himself ice cream anytime he wants it. So,
That's not how adulthood works.
pretty sure
no, that's exactly how adulthood works.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it works. So, Stokes, obviously a lot of us in AFL understand how this Super Bowl odds things work, but we don't want to ever make the mistake of assuming that everybody understands what plus 250 means. Do you want to take some time real quick and just explain what these mean?
The plus is basically if you bet $100 on something, the plus is how much more you would get. So if it's plus 250, you would win $250 on top of your initial bet. Same goes if you bet $10, you get 2 plus 250, which is 25. It's a little bit of multiplication and basic type of math, but that's essentially how it works.
So like Stokes said, the easiest way to think of it is every bet is you betting $100, and that's what plus 300 is. So if you bet 100 and you're betting on, well, that's me, the Minnesota Vikings, and Josh, that would be the person you're betting against is betting 300, and then the winner takes the pot. So obviously for this situation, we're not talking about $100 bets. So you just think about it as plus 300 means 3 times your money. So if you bet $5, you would win 15 plus your 5 back. So there'd be $20 in the pot. So with that being said, if there's still any confusion, feel free to private message Stokes anytime, day or night, and he will explain this to you. He loves that. So he loves it. Stokes, what was your motivation to do this? This is a little bit different. I think a lot of guys like it. Just talk about where your mindset was when you created this.
I just love having the activity in the league, and I just wanted to keep the activity going now that the team selection is done. And last year I did the over-unders for each team, and that was a hit, and or rather it was when I initially posted it, it was very active, and this was just another take on it, and I thought this was fun to do because it's always nice to speculate, and anything to get some gambling going, get some skin in the game. I mean, it's one of my most favorite things is gamble.
So one question somebody might have is, okay, well, you have Edub having better Super Bowl odds than Nino, and this is just one example, and you also have me having better Super Bowl odds than Nino, but in all of our collective power rankings, including the one you did, you had Nino ranked higher than myself and Edub. So more goes into this than just the better player. It's also about the situation that player is in.
Yeah, absolutely. Specifically the Nino situation, he's in a division with myself and Danny Sanchez, who are both going to give him a really good battle 4 times a year. So this could, he's always a threat. He's always one of the biggest threats to win the Super Bowl, and that's why he is this high. But because the normal person would not be this high if they were in a division with myself and Sanchez. So Nino always has a chance, but I don't think that he's. I think he'll have a wild card game. And then when you consider that, there's a lot of crazy things that can go on in any one game of Madden. So that's really what I took into account when considering that.
And then the other thing I just want to touch on real quick is you have a bunch of guys listed, and then at the bottom you have a field. And for guys that may not know what that means, back in the day when Tiger Woods was super dominant, you could bet on a golf tournament, and you could bet on Tiger Woods or the field. And what the field is, it's a collective group of people. So if you see the names in there, you see T-Mag, you see Justin King, Lad Russo, you see Magic, you see Mega, etc., etc., etc. If you don't have to be like, okay, I'm going to put $100 on Magic. What you're doing is you're taking the field, and you actually get every single one of those players. So by taking the field, Stokes, it's actually really good value, because if one of these guys jumps up and surprises you in Madden 17 and wins the bowl, you're going to win some money.
Yeah, had I done this last year, Shadow would have been in the field, and somebody would have took me for a big haul if in fact everything played out the way it played out. So I would have been much more frantic in that AFC Championship game against JD if this was the type of situation. So this is cool because there is value in just taking a collective against one person per se. So I can see the value, but obviously they're in the field for a reason.
And then how did you decide on the guys that are in the field versus the guys that aren't? Because near the bottom of the list of the guys that aren't, you have guys like RVD, Reese, Luca. These guys had some success in Madden 16, but granted, not a ton of success, but at least in RVD and Reese's case, they both won playoff games in Madden 16. And Luca had signs of a guy that if he would have played more than 3 seasons would have eventually won a playoff game. Where did you draw the line, and how did you determine who should be field worthy and who shouldn't?
What I really wanted to do was to get about half the league and then take the rest. I forget what the overall number was as far as people versus the field. But I just wanted to break it down as far as I think I have at least one from every division, and towards the bottom that's why Vane is in there, because I think he would win the division over Costa, and same with Luca if I was gonna put money on it right now. So that's essentially what went into it, because I wanted to put the people who I thought would win the division over everyone else in the division first and foremost, and not put an entire division in the field.
So if you look at the field, it's plus 2,000, which, if you want to think of it more in terms that's easier to understand, 2,000 is 2,000. So 20 to 1 odds. So if you put down $5 on the field and one of those guys hits, you can take home $100. Now there is one bet option on the board that is even better value than the field, and that's Roman Stokes. He is plus 3,000. So you put down $5 on him, you would win 150. So yeah. You're just begging guys to do that, right?
Yes, please, because it's Roman. He just has no chance, and I am happy that he thinks he does, but it's not good for him.
All right, well, Magic, now we've heard Stokes' explanation of how he came up with these lists, why he came up with these lists, and why certain guys are slotted the way they are. Were there any names on this list that jumped out to you as particularly good or bad value?
I think Prime at plus 500 is very interesting. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth best odds. He's tied with JD. That was very surprising to me to see him that high. Not that he can't do it. I would have guessed that his odds would have been a little bit longer, as they say.
Prime is in a division with E-Dub, Hitman, and JT. So, Stokes, what were your thoughts on Prime?
I just saw, some of the strides he was able to make over the course of Restart and AFL. He went to a bowl during normal AFL. Then he made some strides as far as offensively. He became a better runner. And although it didn't show as far as playoff success, I think that the base that he has as far as being able to run as well as being a good passer as he was, if he's able to find that balance, and I think with this new game he should be able to, I think that could separate him. I think he could take the division from E-Dub, but if I had to choose, I would take E-Dub over him.
And then two guys jumped off the page to me as good value, even though they are both in very tough divisions. You have KJ, who's right now sitting at number 3 on the active owners Super Bowl list. We're not counting Ridge in that, but Ridgerhan, active Super Bowls, KJ has 4, and he's plus 600, which puts him quite a ways down the list. He's behind you, me, E-Dub, Nino, Cheese, JD. He's behind Prime, who Magic just mentioned. He's behind Danny Sanchez, who's in a division with you and Nino. So talk about KJ being down so low on the list.
I think he's going to be a victim of his roster, even though it's surprisingly, he made it to the Super Bowl with probably as bad of, if not worse, a roster in the Bears last year. So, in the first season. So I think that it's mostly the roster, and I think that it's going to be difficult for him to overtake JD in that division because I think the Falcons roster is better than the Saints roster, and when it comes to the playoffs, KJ is as good as anyone he's going to see in the playoffs. But I think that the rosters and the teams overall will probably overtake him as far as the one game playoff situation.
And it might be a similar answer for this guy, but another guy who's usually grouped in with the AFL elite is Joker, and he's down even further than KJ on the list, plus 700. So if you were to bet $10 on Joker winning the Super Bowl, you could win $70 back. Joker's San Diego Chargers, I think we'd all agree they're the fourth most talented roster in the AFC West, and the AFC West has Cody, SJR, and Cheesin along with Joker. So tough row to hoe, but still a very good player at what I think is a very good value.
Yeah, you wouldn't be wrong if you said that he was the best player in the division as far as playing Madden is concerned. But I think it's really a toss-up when it comes to Cheese versus Joker. They both have very similar histories in AFL, so it's hard to say without a doubt that he's not going to win the division. You could tell me that he won the division by 3 games, and I wouldn't be surprised. You could tell me he was last in the division, and I also would. I'd be slightly more surprised, or I don't know how to describe it, but it would be something that wouldn't shock me too much if he was finished last, because that roster is not that good, and his passing game is going to be good. It's just a matter of whether the rest of his game is going to be able to cover that.
And a way this works for people that aren't as familiar with it is a lot of it. The best odds are the least bet friendly odds. So like Stokes right now, that's plus 250. It goes to the guys that you think have the easiest path to the playoffs. So if you think about real life NFL, generally this time of year, the New England Patriots, if they're not 1, they're 2 or 3 as far as Super Bowl odds. And the reason is they play in the AFC East. So barring a catastrophic situation where like Tom Brady gets injured or something like that, it just seems like a lock that they're going to win their division and probably have a bye. And if you can just pre-season pick out a team that's automatically going to be in a good situation in the playoffs, obviously you'd want to put your money there because you can't win a Super Bowl if you're not in the playoffs. And that might be why a guy like Joker and a guy like KJ fall down the list, because yes, they are up there with the elite, but they have a tough road ahead to get to the playoffs. We talked about Joker, but KJ also has to go through Reese, Westside Charles, and then JD, another former Super Bowl champion. So Magic, any other names pop out to you on this list?
Good for Reese making it plus 1100. Was Vane just the guy that you had just had, that was going towards the one from every division?
Yeah, he's who I think would win the NFC West.
I think Vane has a little bit of an underrated AFL resume, quite honestly. And I know I've talked about this a bit on the team selection shows, but he's a guy that made the playoffs multiple times last year, made it to a conference championship game, had playoff victories over Edub, myself, and Stokes. And then in a previous AFL 15 restart, he made it to a conference championship game and lost to Bailey. So he's a guy that's when he first came into AFL struggled, but has really gotten better over the course of time, and he has maybe the best roster in the maybe not even maybe definitely the best roster in the game by a lot of people's opinions. So that could be, in my opinion, a very good value. You get the Seahawks, so you automatically, barring him going in there and screwing up that team from a GM perspective, you get the Seahawks at 15-1 odds. That's pretty good, and you got a player there that has a track record of winning some playoff games. So Stokes, when you do something like this, it's fun, people enjoy it, but you always know there's going to be 1 or 2 people that take it the wrong way and look at it and they can get insulted, whether they feel disrespected. And, this is not just AFL. You see it now when real-life Madden ratings come out. You see players tweeting like, what do you mean I'm rated less than this guy or stuff. So it makes it fun, but it's nothing you weren't expected to see happen when certain guys come back at you like, how am I rated below this guy?
Yeah, I mean that is to be expected, and that's why I do it. I do it for the activity. I do it for the debate and all that, and it's fun. It's fun to to go back and forth with someone who thinks they're wrong and thinks I'm wrong, and I always retort, hey, if you think I'm wrong, then fine, then we can take my money if you feel that I'm wrong, and then we'll see who's laughing at the end.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
Ayo.
so to speak.
Well, one of the guys who probably has been the most outspoken about where he's ranked in comparison with other guys is Costa. Matt Cross on this list for the guys that aren't familiar with Facebook names versus Madden names, but you all should be there at this point. He had questions about guys like RVD and Reese. I think he may have even mentioned Luca having their own odds, and then him being in the field. And Stokes, I guess I don't know if you did anything specific to Costa or if you just drew the line at some point and he just hadn't come up yet in your mind. But is there anything you can speak on specifically to him as far as why he was in the field?
Um, I just think that he doesn't have a good enough track record as far as the AFL playoffs are concerned, and this would be more so about whether I think that Costa would win 3 or 4 head-to-head playoff games against some of the AFL's best we have to offer. So it isn't so much that I think that Costa is terrible. I just don't think he would be better in this series of head-to-heads, and I think that he's not going to win the division, so he's going to be on the road if he makes the playoffs at all, which is not a given whatsoever when you look at the way the NFC is stacked up. So it's really in addition to the fact that he's only made the playoffs once in his as many years of AFL as he's had.
Well, there's 12 guys in the field, and of those 12 guys, 6 of them have never won a playoff game in AFL. So you got Lad Russo, you have Mega, you have Justin Thomas, you have Cheese Jr., you have Costa, and you have Flip. Now, of those 6...
Hey, whose name did you not mention there?
Hey!
Huh? Hey! Hey!
We will talk about that on an upcoming history show. Hint, hint.
All right.
Magic,
Hey.
getting his playoff dub. But of those 6... Lad Russo joined us in 15. Let's see. So he's only been here a couple of Maddens. Cheese Jr. joined us last year, only a couple Maddens. JT joined us end of last year, only a couple Maddens. So that leaves Costa, Flip, and then Mega as guys who have never won a playoff game. And Costa and Flip are the only 2 that have been here since Madden 11. So, historically speaking, when you talk about needing to win 3 or even 4 playoff games in one season to win a Super Bowl, you're talking about a guy that's never won a playoff game in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions of Madden. I'd say he belongs in the field. Now,
Hey, as someone with a playoff win, let me just say, it's not that easy to do.
no.
You're not okay. All right. Now, seriously, it's not easy to do. To one, to make the playoffs, because you have to be a top 6 team out of, what are there, 16 teams in each conference, and then of those 6, you're gonna not see Stokes most likely, and you're not gonna see whoever happens to get the 2 seed, but you're gonna see someone who's very good and could possibly have 13 wins, and you just happen to get in because maybe you're in a bad division, maybe you got some sim wins, maybe someone else just had a bunch of injuries and you just happen to be around at the right time. So you're not getting like easy people to play against, and it's harder, and you really have to come in with good concepts, and most likely you're going to have to be able to adjust in game. Some people are better at adjusting post game and seeing what they did wrong and correcting it for next time. In a playoff game, there is no next time. So if you can't adjust on the fly, you're kind of stuck. And against the good players, you're going to need to be able to do that.
And I think about this is Costa's confident. He had a stronger Madden 16 than he's had in the past. He He wants to talk about season 1 where he went 10-6 and had some guys suspended and would have made the playoffs. And that's neither here nor there. I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Guys usually let those go in one ear and out the other, but let's give him that. And he stepped away, took over Morrow's team, had to take a couple years to rebuild them, won 10 games again, made the playoffs, but then lost a playoff game. Yes, he had a strong Madden 16 by his own standards. However, when you're talking about the Super Bowl, you're talking about one guy being left standing at the end, and you're talking about a guy that's never won a playoff game. It's a hard justification to make for him to be anywhere but the field. But I will defend Costa on this. If he's ever going to be confident, it's going to be this year, because he's coming off of his best Madden. He got one of the best rosters in the entire game, bar none, as far as youth and talent at important Madden positions. And he is in what many would say is the easiest division in all of AFL. If it's not the easiest, it is certainly in the conversation for the easiest. So Costa, anything short of a Super Bowl appearance in Madden 17 is a catastrophic disappointment for a guy that's talking as much as he is right now in August about how much work he's going to put into Madden 17 and about how his defense is fine if he learns offensive concepts. I completely agree with him. If he focuses and if he gets as good at offense as he expects himself to, he should absolutely be in the Super Bowl. And given the division he's in, given the fact that if he plays at that level, he'll make the playoffs every year and probably get a bye, anything short of making a Super Bowl, I'm not going to say winning, but win a couple playoff games, make a Super Bowl, would just be a complete fail on his part, and it would be catastrophic. So I understand where his confidence is from, but the pressure's on in Madden 17, Costa, because this is your setup. Your base is loaded, nobody out. All you got to do is get an RBI. There's many ways to get it done. Great roster, great division. You're a great GM. We all admit that. And you're a decent player who you think is a good player. So get it done. Make the Super Bowl because it's set up for you to do so.
You know what I hated about this show was when you would hit a leadoff triple and then you would advance the innings and be like, oh, I didn't score. How exciting.
You would skip through the guys batting behind you?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't steal. I'm not out here stealing home, man. Who do you think I am?
Is it bad that I didn't realize you could do that?
Oh, God.
That was so tedious. Like, I'd always love to steal second and then maybe even steal third, but then it'd be like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's fun stealing first and second, or second and third. Steal first. That's what they should do to save baseball.
If you could steal first, that would be great. All right, guys, any final thoughts on these before Magic and I give our best bets, because we are just fantastic odds predictors, and we want to help you guys take Stokes' money.
Hey.
Stokes, any final thoughts on any of this?
Yes, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 bets so far. So just waiting for more to come. It's only the most money on one team is 25 on KJ, to your point earlier. Then followed by 15 total on Edub. Then there's 10 on Nino, 10 on Reese, and then 10 on the field. Respect
to Reese for betting on himself.
Yeah.
We all know that's what it was, but respect to him. Okay.
So what's your liability? Like 60? I stopped counting after 25 and 15.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70.
Okay.
$70 off total.
All right.
And Sham is randomly flipping me off in Facebook message. Not sure why, but it just popped up on your screens. All right, Magic, do you have any best bets that come to mind, or do you want me to give you some of mine?
I will let you go first to see how many you're going to do.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys 3 best bets, and it's going to be a guy that is ranked higher that I think is, a guy that if you just want to be safe with it, that's a guy I would pick. A guy that is notorious for struggling, but I think he has some really good value here. And then I'm going to give you guys a long shot. So I'm going to start first off with my guy that's ranked higher, and it's going to be Edub. 350. He is a fantastic Madden player, just like Stokes says in his description here. Edub is a guy that picks up the game on day one and starts passing, and all of his pass plays still work because he doesn't rely on gimmicks. He doesn't rely on the ghost posts or the slant outs or any of those fads that became big that year. He runs concepts, football concepts that work every year because they're great football strategies. He has his squad, and he's a guy that before the gimmicks, the tricks, the OP stuff starts coming out is a real handful. So it's worth noting he's won one Super Bowl in his lifetime in AFL, and it was in season 1. So Edub to me is great value, even at plus 350. I think Stokes knows that. That's why he's the third ranked guy on the board. Even in a tough division, I think Edub is great value. Go ahead and throw down $20 on Edub, and you'll win 70. I think that's a good bet. Throw down 20, win 70. My second one. This guy is still not quite down the board too far. I really like Cheesin at 450. I think the Denver Broncos, to me, as some of these ratings come out and you see like TJ Ward finally getting, I don't even know if it's finally because I don't know if he deserves it, but they're getting that Super Bowl boost as far as their roster is concerned. Some guys that maybe shouldn't even be rated that high are getting rated very high. Secondary is elite. They're going to have great pass rush. They're going to have a nice young quarterback in Paxton Lynch. The receivers are still going to be good for a couple of years before he has to make some moves. This is a team he can win now with. And Cheese is another guy that is just good at Madden. I know he gets a reputation as a guy that'll choke in the playoffs or, sometimes outthinks himself or whatever. He has an elite team in this game, and he, to me, is going to make a serious run at the bowl year one. When we do our prediction show, I'm pretty sure I'm going to circle him as the guy to win that division year one. We'll have to wait and see what happens on the prediction show. So I'm going to go Cheese and Edub with my first two predictions. I'm not touching Stokes or Nino or Danny for that matter because I think there's just too much uncertainty about how that division is going to shake out. So I'm going with two guys that have a little bit of a tough road to get to the playoffs, but once they get there, I think they're going to be in good shape. And then my wild card, I'm going to go with Hitman and the Dallas Cowboys, plus 750. This is a guy that I haven't seen a lot out of. I don't think he's won a Super Bowl in PS4, but plus 750 is pretty good odds where you could bet $10 and win 75. I like that. That's what you would do with a guy like this. You're not going to throw down $50 on him because there's not enough. I mean, depending on how important money is to you. Throw down 10, maybe you win 75. He's got his roster. And they keep saying how important line of scrimmage is in this game. He has, bar none, the best offensive line in the game. He's going to have the best rookie running back in the game. Des Bryant is a beast. Romo is a beast. This is his real-life team. He knows how to use them. He showed signs in Madden 16 Restart when he finally got that Ravens team built up. He went 12-4, I believe. I just think he's a guy that I think he's another guy, based on what I've heard about him, that maybe as the season goes on, he gets frustrated because he doesn't run the OP plays. He more so complains about them. Maybe he's better earlier in the year. So I see some value there with Dan Quinn. And then I would also throw down $5 on the field. Why not? 20 to 1 odds? Why not? Win $100, throw down $5. You never know, a guy like T-Mag or Costa, who we talked about, or even Trump, both in that division. You have 3 guys from the NFC West in that division, which means your odds of at least one of those guys getting to the playoffs is fantastic. So you're gonna have a horse or two in the race once the playoffs get here. You also have the NFC North well represented with T-Mag, Magic, and Ladd. So, and the only guy that's not in there is Luka, and Luka was good last year, but I wouldn't say he's an elite player. So you're gonna have a couple guys from the field make the playoffs in my prediction year one. So, say 2 of the 12 playoff teams, take your shot. Throw down $5. Magic?
I really like Edub. He's got the shortest odds of the guys I'm going to name as well. I think he's just consistently good year in and year out. I really want to pick Prime, but I don't like his odds, so I'm going to skip him, and I'm going to take a Joker at plus 700. I think He'll trade anyone on that San Diego team. So while the roster is not that strong, he's a good player, and he'll trade whoever he needs to make them better immediately. He's not going to sit there and just try to build them through draft or something. He knows that he has a realistic shot of winning the bowl every year, so he's not going to sit back and wait, And let's see. There's probably 2 I feel the strongest about since you're out here giving out 4. We could stop at 6.
That works. All right, Stokes, one question people might want to ask is, you're one of the best players in the league. Somebody could double their money by picking you to win, but they're betting against you. Can we just squash the notion that you would throw away a chance at a Super Bowl to save 10 or $20? I mean, I've talked to you enough to know that even $50, if somebody bet $50 on you, it's not worth it to you to not catch Nino in the Super Bowl race.
There's absolutely no chance at all that I would lose the bowl for $50 or whatever the case is, because winning bowls is important to me, and this is my favorite league. This is the league I spend the most of my Madden time on. So I would absolutely not in any way throw any sort of bowl. I would gladly pay out the winner's money if I won the Super Bowl. So no reason to worry about that at all.
Plus, you got to think of it like this: if Stokes wins the bowl, every other bet he has on every other owner is going to pay his pocket. So
there's a good chance I'll be playing against someone who someone else bet on. So I'd be at more of a desire to win that game, I think.
All right, well, Stokes, thanks for doing this. This was a lot of fun. We'll see if guys get more into it. I have a feeling that it may be something that doesn't get a lot of action now, but once the game comes out and we have that week where we're playing the game before we kick it off for real in AFL, guys start feeling themselves, maybe go win a ranked game by 40 points, like, give me $20 on myself. I hope that's what we get. I love it when guys are confident. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just going to add another layer of excitement to AFL for Madden 17. This has been our Super Bowl odds recap show. You just never know what kind of show we're going to come out with next. For Magic and Stokes, this is Josh, and we will talk to you next time on the AFL Podcast.